Alright, today we got some more bad news, Toyota fanboys and fangirls. Your 25 Toyota 4Runner, the new 4Runner coming out, also is not going to have any bump stops on the front. Let me explain. Now, if you don't know already, 24 Tacoma owners have been breaking their front shock mounts or top hats. This piece here that's silver with these holes in it blows out, the rubber's exposed, and basically it breaks off-road when they go off-road. Kind of looks like that. It cracks, it breaks, and it's a big mess. Look at that. That's not good, not supposed to happen. Alright, if you watched my previous video on the Tacoma bump stop issue or lack of bump stops, this is the issue here. Previously, all Toyota trucks and SUVs had a frame-mounted bump stop. So this black rubber here, again, is the bump stop. Here's your lower control arm. When you hit a bump, this control arm goes up and it meets the rubber just like you're seeing here. So this is a bottomed-out situation. And we got basically control arm meeting the rubber, which is attached to the frame. This is tried and true. This is robust. It's been around for decades. It works. And previous generations of Tacomas and 4Runners and Land Cruisers all have this externally frame-mounted bump stop system. But the Toyota Tacoma cheaped out with the bump stop system, and now the 25 4Runner is doing the same exact thing. Yes, people have been asking me, is the 25 4Runner going to have external bump stops like the Land Cruiser 300 and the Lexus LX600 and the Lexus GX550 and the Land Cruiser 250? They all have external, meaning frame-mounted bump stops. Is this 25 4Runner going to have that, or is it going to have the Tacoma system where the bump stops on the shock? Unfortunately, your 25 4Runner, all trims, including the TRD Pro, whatever other nonsense trail hunter, they are all going to have shock absorber mounted bump stops. Meaning the bump stop is going to be on the frame. You can see this white piece of rubber is your bump stop. So this is the Tacoma setup essentially. So instead of an external bump stop like what's traditionally been used, tried and true, and is extremely robust, especially for trucks and SUV, they're going to use this car style bump stop system here where it's mounted on the shock. And basically every time you hit a bump, it's your shock body down here versus the rubber bump stop up here, which is then mounted to this top hat or shock mount if you want to call it. And then on the Tacomas, that's the piece that's blowing out. On this car, it's black. This happens to be a Miata. So when you hit a bump, it bottoms out, hits the bump stop, and bam, it's blowing through right there on the Tacomas. And boom, that's what you see. This black piece here is not supposed to be there. It blew right through the shock mount. The shock mount or top hat is down here where the mouse is, where these bolts and nuts are. Blew right through. This is the issue Tacoma owners are having. So let's get to the proof. Let's get to the evidence. Let's look underneath this 25 4Runner and show you that it has the same system as the Tacoma. Okay, so this is the 2025. So this is the new Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro, as we see by the control arm. And here's the lower control arm down here. So if we look down in the lower control arm area where the mouse is, this is the lower control arm, and there's no frame-mounted bump stops here. This is the same type of setup on the 24 Tacoma. So even though this is on the TNGAF platform shared with the mother vehicle, the Land Cruiser 300 GR Sport, which does have two externally frame-mounted bump stops, which I'll show you in a second. This 25 4Runner still uses the 24 Tacoma setup where all the shock absorption insofar as bottoming out, the bump stop is up here. There's no frame-mounted ones. And that doesn't matter what trim of 4Runner, 25 4Runner you're going to get. This is the Trail Hunter trim. And again, we can see the lower control arm down here where the mouse is. And there are no provisions for a frame-mounted bump stop. In other words, the bump stop, again, is up in the top of the shock here. It's integral to the shock, just like on the 24 Tacomas that are having issues with that right now. Alright, this is your 25 Toyota 4Runner with its Fox Shocks TRD Pro. Again, let's look at the control arm, and there's no landings for externally mounted bump stops, which we're going to show you. Well, I'm going to show you on the Land Cruiser 300 in a second here. But anyway, this is 25 4Runner TRD Pro, and if we go up here, you would have, in this area here where the mouse is, you'd have a protrusion sticking down around here, and a bump stop here, and then you should have another one to meet the other leg of the control arm, and it's just not there on this TRD Pro 25 4Runner. Again, it's going to have the shock body style of bump stop, and so every time you hit a bump, this is you're supposed to be able to fly across the desert off-road. You're going to be smacking up against the top of the bump stop, your top hat, and the shock body itself. So this design of the bump stop, and I know it's used on other vehicles like a Ford F-150, but it wears out your shock, and again, you could have issues with the top hat like we're seeing with the 24 Tacoma. But more importantly, this whole TNG and AF platform frame here was not designed originally to have shock style bump stops. They're meant to be external. Let's look at it. Okay, so this is the mother vehicle. This is the Land Cruiser 300 GR Sport. So your Tacoma and all other TNGAF platforms is like 6 trucks and SUVs. There's going to be 2 more. They still got to cram the Hilux, the new Hilux, and the new Fortuner on this platform. Anyway, bottom line, this is the mother vehicle. This is how it should be. This is how your Tacoma should be. This is how your 4Runner should be. Can you spot the difference? And you may not notice it, but again, here's your lower control arm. Yes, I know this is an aftermarket control arm, but the stock one looks just the same. This one's just an aftermarket one. Point is, these are the 2 bump stops. See where this mouse is? Right here. That's bump stop number 1, and then we got bump stop number 2 right there. And down here where the mouse is, this hump on the lower control arm, the stock setup's just like that. You got one here, and you got one here. Now, when you go thrashing on this Land Cruiser 300 off-road, this control arm goes up, and it smacks off of not one bump stop right here, from here to here, boom. And then here to here, this bump stop here smacks down here on the control arm around here. And you can go all day and all night smacking off of this frame, these 2 frame-mounted bump stops, and you will not have an issue. This is tried and true design, and also you're not going to stress this shock body here because it's not involved in the whole bump stop or bottoming out process. So again, we're going to zoom in here again. This is your frame here. So this is your TNGAF platform, but again, ignore the aftermarket nonsense. The stock setup is just the same. But if we zoom in here, we're going to see what's missing, what Toyota is sneakily taking out. There it is. It's hard to see. Follow the mouse, but this is a whole protrusion. This is the top of it. Boom. Just like your old school 4Runners, I'm tracing the outline of the steel that's connected to the frame. So this is shooting out laterally from the frame, and you get a nice beefy. This is just the bottom of the rubber, but this is a good 4 inches or more thick rubber up in here. So you got one right there. This is how 4Runners and Tacomas of the past and Land Cruisers, how all Toyota trucks and SUVs have been, and trucks around the world forever. So you got one there. Now look over here. You got the same thing going on. It's hard to see, but the mouse here is kind of as a lateral protrusion from the ladder frame, and you got another beefy bump stop. What that means to you is you can smack off these things off-road all day long, all night. And this is why Toyota's engineers, with their original intention with the TNGAF platform, designed this Land Cruiser 300 to have 2 bump stops. Frame-mounted ones. Land Cruiser 600, Lexus LX 600 is the same thing. But Toyota took them away on your 25 4Runner. Yeah, even your 25 TRD Pro. Not so pro, now is it? Because now you can clearly see, compared to the last photo, Toyota decided to delete what I just showed you. The 2 protrusions that come around and meet the lower control arm. The whole lower control arm is different. They completely deleted it for cost-saving measures. And a lot of people have been asking, did they take that out for this new, this TRD Pro and Trail Hunter 4Runner? Yes, they did. So before you get too caught up in the marketing hype of your big, burly TRD Pro with its red stickers, it looks so aggressive. And it's got red springs and coil. Just paint every other thing red and stick TRD stickers on it. It's an appearance package, ladies and gentlemen. They deleted a major off-road durability function of the mother vehicle, the Land Cruiser 300 GR Sport, the real Land Cruiser that we don't get. But your Tacoma and your 25 4Runner are all based on this, and you are not getting what the engineers intended. You're getting the watered-down Mickey Mouse, McDonald's Dollar General version of the original intention in your 25 4Runner. When you go bombing up and down off-road now in your 25 4Runner or your 24 Tacoma, either or, it's your shock body, whatever shock they put in there, whatever brand. It's the edge of this versus this top hat piece there. And this could happen to you, because that's a lot of stuff going on for an off-road vehicle. And since for some oddball reason, Toyota of America, remember, the Tacoma and 4Runner are just American vehicles. The world doesn't care about Tacomas or 4Runners. It's just for the American market, which is how you get this Mickey Mouse nonsense. I'm talking about what appears to be a cast aluminum top hat or shock mount. So instead of steel, which just doesn't like to break at all, it loves to bend, they used cast aluminum, which likes to crack and shatter because it's brittle, and you get this is the broken one over here. So before you get caught up in the hype, the marketing hype that is unique to America, where you pay for more and get less, such as this here on your 25 4Runner TRD Pro and your Tacoma, it doesn't matter what trim. If you've got a Tacoma 24 or higher, or if you got a 4Runner, the new 4Runner, and Tacoma 24 higher and 4Runner 25 and higher, the new one, you don't get those classic bump stops that can take a beating off-road, which is what the whole point of this vehicle is. It's all up here in the shock now, in the shock body, and that, again, might be an issue. But it says Trail Hunter on it. Don't you want to go hunting on the trail? It doesn't matter. You're getting the watered-down Mickey Mouse version, and Toyota of America is hoping or expecting or assuming that you're too stupid to know what you're missing here. They're accounting that you are too dumb to figure out that, wait a minute, you took something off and you're charging us more, the same price or close enough. But you certainly changed the design here, and all you're doing is giving us a bunch of stickers and hype names. So while the issue may not be an issue, the fact remains is 24 Tacoma owners are exploding their shock top hats when they go off-road rather quickly. Not a lot, and it's not even statistically relevant, but it may be an issue to you as the buyer when you consider that it is a diluted version of the original intentions with these dual bump stops that you see here with the mouse, smacking off this gigantic control arm. And these are gigantic. Yes, I know this is not the OEM, but it's just as gigantic because everything is riding on this control arm. And when you smack off the bump stops, you want it to be control arm to frame. You do not want to be shock body to frame. It's a beefcake of a control arm. You can see the two flat spots here where the two bump stops that I showed you on the frame are supposed to smack off. This is a tank of a lower control arm. This was the original intention. You're not getting this on your Tacoma. You're getting cheated out of it. You're not going to get it on your new 4Runner. Doesn't matter what kind of exciting, nonsensical name, Trail Runner, TRD Pro, you're not getting this. You're not getting what the engineers intended. But you do get pretty red springs and TRD stickers, though some stuff is missing here. So it's ultimately up for you to decide how much this matters to you, to some people to be an issue, to some people to be a non-issue. But practically speaking and realistically speaking and historically speaking, this is not Kaizen, Toyota's continual improvement mantra. This is anti-Kaizen. This is a digression, a de-evolution, whatever you want to call it. This is going backwards. This is a cheapening of the core engineering intention of the TNGAF platform in order to push sales and increase profit margins. And worst of all, Toyota's not talking about it. They're counting that you're too ignorant to know that this is not ideal for a truck that's supposed to bomb through the desert off-road. Instead, they want you to get caught up in the design language, the hype and the stickers, and the nonsense. And you know what? Honestly, they might be on to something.